Well, this empty lot in downtown Davenport could soon, finally, get the green light for a new hotel. This is right at the base of the Arsenal Bridge over by the Quad City Times building. It was the former site of the Howard Johnson Hotel, which closed in 2009, and it was then vacant for years before being torn down. Now it could become a 4-story extended stay Marriott hotel. But this plan has met a lot of roadblocks over the last few months, and not everyone at City Hall is on board. Tomorrow night is supposed to be the final vote for the council to decide whether or not this hotel gets built. So we went down to the site with News 8's Maddie Franz, who has been following this story for months, to find out how we got here. All right, Maddie, we are here at the site of what could be the future hotel on a very cold afternoon here. We can see right over here the Mississippi River. I can't help but think this is going to be right in the path of some floods if this does get built.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is not only in the floodplain like the rest of this area of 2nd Street, it's in the floodway. So that means that as this is right now, you can't build in it because it is so definitively going to flood. But the developer's plans is to raise this up a few inches to keep it out of that floodway and hopefully keep it open during floods. And that also corresponds with a federal grant that the city received to raise LeClaire Street and 3rd Street so that it has better travel during the floods. So they're hopefully going to avoid the worst of the flooding by doing that.
Okay, but there is another issue with this land here. Tell me about the possible brownfield contamination we got going on.
Right, so this plot of land has a pretty nasty history. I mean, starting in the 19th century, it was a coal gasification plant, which essentially means that there's all kinds of nasty contamination in the soil and the groundwater, and the Quad City Times building behind us also had similar issues when they were deciding to build their building there. So there are programs through the Iowa EPA to do some remediation here, clean up the soil and make it better, but I mean that's still been kind of a sticking point for some on City Council.
All right, so if it does get built, floodplain and contamination aside, would this be one of the only extended stay hotels in the area?
In Davenport, not really, because there are some that are outside of downtown. The Black Hawk Hotel also offers similar services. We've reached out to them to get their take on it, but I mean, they haven't been able to get back to us. But this would be the only dedicated extended stay hotel in downtown Davenport.
Okay, so now that you've laid that all out for us, what is the holdup here? Why has this been going through City Hall for so many years?
Right. I mean, they had a meeting back a few years ago, and they proposed it first in October, then it got delayed a few months to November, and then there was a stall. There were some issues getting information to some of the people on City Council, and they got 5 yeses, 4 nos, and 1 abstention. So that means that it couldn't go through because it didn't have a majority. And then the next week, or the next City Council meeting, it was back on the agenda. There were questions about that, and it's just kind of been in this loop of worries about environmental impact and some of these tax incentives that the city would give to the developer, where they would give back a portion of the hotel motel tax once they start renting out these rooms. So it's just based on what the developer generates once it's built and running, but there's no upfront money in that deal.
Okay, so before I let you go, tell me about these tax incentives. What is Davenport maybe going to offer if this hotel gets built?
Right, so this would be a 15-year deal. As soon as everything is built and running and people are staying in these rooms, and as an extended stay hotel, they're not just aiming for, people that are here over the weekend, they're like a week or more. So they would take a portion of that room rate, that goes to the city, a portion goes to the state, but the portion that goes to the city would give them back a little bit. So it changes over that 15-year period, but it's essentially giving them back some of the value that is generated through those hotel rooms.
That makes a lot of sense. And we can't see it, but City Hall is just over the corner over there. We'll see if tomorrow night, Wednesday night, they can pass this hotel or not. Maddie, thank you for joining us.
All right, thank you for having me.
Now, another piece of this puzzle is that 2 council members will have to abstain from tomorrow night's vote. We've compiled all of Maddie's coverage on that aspect of this story on our website underneath the As Seen on TV tab.